even though there's a lot of stuff that's like, man, this looks like a very specific piece of structure, you got to remember just how fast that current is, and you're trying to get your bait down there 15, 20, 30 feet deep. It's hard to do that sitting still and throwing your bait up there to it. You actually have so much better control drifting and controlling that bait and trying to keep it real close underneath the boat to actually get those fish to bite. A drop shot is considerably more effective than a Ned rig. If your line drags across the bottom at all, it's going to be nicked. Hey everybody, welcome back to the now final stop of the Bass Pro Tour season, Stage 7 up on the St. Lawrence River. It's pretty cool because our last three events of the Bass Pro Tour season have all been on a river system. The first two being on tidal systems, shallow water, off-colored water, largemouth fisheries. St. Lawrence River is not any of those. It flowing out of Lake Ontario, very clear water, smallmouth. It does have largemouth, but definitely known for its smallmouth, and not a tidal fishery. It does have some dams upstream as it flows north, east. Does have some dams on it, but yeah, pretty awesome fishery. We've certainly had a lot of events there. Not a new stop, not a new time of year being here in early August, but definitely a place that is a fantastic fishery. Our BPT stop that we had there a couple or 3 years ago, in late June, set some records for total weights for single day, multiple days, all those kind of things. And that was one where a lot of fish were still spawning. A lot of guys were catching them with the uh, underwater viewing deals. Looking through those. So that was definitely a neat event and a cool time to be fishing there. But yeah, St. Lawrence. So what do we got to work with here? We're going out of Messina, which is on the far downstream end, even though it's at the northeast, because this water does flow out of Lake Ontario, flowing into the St. Lawrence River, and then out towards the ocean wherever it goes out up there in Canada. But so from Messina right there at the dam, upstream, basically to the mouth of Lake Ontario, somewhere right around in here is usually where our boundary is. So we can't go out into the lake. But from Messina to there, you're looking at a close to 100 mile, 90-ish, I think, 90-some-mile run to get to where our boundary is. So we'll get 30 free minutes of ride around, but you would end up burning another hour of that to get all the way down there to that boundary if you choose to go that far. This area down in here, some of the most historic stuff of it, most talked about, well known, whatever. This down around Clayton, what's called Thousand Islands, is what's this region of that is all called. And on this mapping, you can tell that on the U.S. side, it's really good. A lot of definition, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it's on a different chip. If so, I'll need to get it. But on the Canadian side, definitely does not have the definition that it does on the American side over here. So all kinds of stuff over there to fish, but just doesn't have quite the definition that it does here on the U.S. side of the map. But yeah, this area down here around Clayton, Alexandria Bay, all this stuff, that's what you hear of when you hear Thousand Islands. That's the region that it's talking about. And then of course Lake Ontario just out to the south and west of that. A lot of stuff, man. So much going on. Just you could take a quarter, and the way I've got the map zoomed out, just lay a quarter on that, and there's so many bass, represented in any of those small areas right there. Once you get up here near Brockville, you get past Chippewa Bay and these other couple bays here, and it really necks down a lot. And truthfully, the current speeds up a lot because of that, because the river only gets about half as wide as what it was, and that current really speeds up when you get down into here around Brockville, and I think it's Morristown, Ogdensburg, all that area through there. Once you get down to that, definitely a lot narrower, kind of a straight stretch of the river, and not as many islands, not quite as many shoals and that type of stuff going on, but certainly has a population of fish, and some really big ones in my opinion that live this way. As you work your way north on up towards Waddington and then towards Messina, kind of starts opening up and it gets a little bit bigger again, and you've got some of those flats and stuff and more islands and that kind of thing. And that's what's interesting is that it took me a while to understand that, with the dam up there, that they actually are raising the water level some. Um, like right there at Messina, that water level is not. It's not just the river. It's not, naturally what it was, because if you look at it up here and zoom in close, you'll see in some of these places there's some old road beds and there's some house foundations and that kind of thing. So you realize that with that dam there, it actually has the water level raised some. And that's because this river is used for navigation for really large boats. I mean, when we're fishing there, there's ships that are coming by and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of really big shipping and big boat traffic and stuff. But yeah, that's what's funny was, talking about it being a river, but having these dams on it and stuff. I mean, this is road bed and there's house foundations and all kinds of crazy stuff going on up here once you get up towards Messina. A lot of different structure, especially up on those flats. That stuff. The river's not raised drastically. I'm not sure exactly how much, but there's certainly some stuff that was, old farms and roads and that kind of thing that are covered by the river now. When for this time of year and fishing up here, it is pretty straightforward, to be quite honest. You could, honest to goodness, go here with 3 rods, all with a drop shot tied on them, never use anything else, and you're probably going to be throwing what the winner's throwing if you don't end up winning. That is, that's how you catch them up here at the St. Lawrence River, especially in the summertime. Almost any time of the year, but certainly in the summer. And you do, because of the amount of current. It's not often that you like spot lock and fish a place or something. A lot of what you do up there is drifting with the current because it is so fast and there's so much stuff to fish. You'll find places where there's a group of fish and there may be, 3 or 4 or 10 sitting on a place close together, but so often, like, you just get in an area that's all from 10 to 40 feet deep and you drift through those areas, and you may make a drift through here and catch a couple. You may slide over and drift through there and catch one. Then the next drift, you slide over a little bit and catch 4 on that drift. It's a lot about just getting in an area where you're finding a concentration of fish and drifting through there, because it's not often that it's like, okay, this is the one rock that all the fish in this area are on. It's just there's so many fish in this system. You get in an area where they're at, and you kind of figure out a drift pattern, and the speed of that drift is a big part of it. And that's how you can really, really start catching them. So even though there's a lot of stuff that's like, man, this looks like a very specific piece of structure, you got to remember just how fast that current is, and you're trying to get your bait down there 15, 20, 30 feet deep. It's hard to do that sitting still and throwing your bait up there to it. You actually have so much better control drifting and controlling that bait and trying to keep it real close underneath the boat to actually get those fish to bite. And that's another part as to why, in my opinion, on this fishery, a drop shot is considerably more effective than a Ned rig. When you are drifting like that, and this place has tons of rock, tons of zebra mussels, um, if your line drags across the bottom at all, it's going to be nicked, and you're going to be using a spinning rod. And water's really clear. 8-pound test, maybe as high as 10 is going to be what you're using for the most part, but a lot of 8, and I'm sure some guys will use 6. If that line upstream of your hook has rubbed across the rocks, it's going to be nicked. And when you go to set the hook on that 4 or 5 pound smallmouth, he's going to break you off. So that's why a drop shot ends up just being so much more efficient than a Ned rig, is because you just end up landing more of the fish instead of them, cutting you off on the rocks and that kind of stuff. But it is a neat place because you can keep it very simple. Take you some drop shots, take you some weights, and that is a thing where, like I mentioned, the speed of your drift, the amount of weight that you're using on your drop shot is a big part of the reason why you need multiple ones rigged up. For me, I'll probably have a 3/8 ounce, I'll have a half ounce, and I might have a 3/4 ounce drop shot rigged up for different depths, for different speeds of current, and that kind of thing. I'll try to use as light as I can get away with, but most of the time, if they're a 3/8, is going to be about the least that you're going to be fishing this time of the year, because not going to be fishing a lot less than probably 15 feet. And a lot of that stuff in that 20 to 30, 40 foot range is where you're going to be spending a lot of time, fishing. So that 3/8, half ounce, even as much as a 3/4 can definitely be what you need to keep your bait down there where those fish are at. Some type of small, simple, soft plastic, just a little drop shot bait. With Bass Pro, we've got some little hand pour creature, or little hand pour baits and drop shot worms and that kind of stuff. That's you don't have to really think too hard about the bait either. Just put that thing on a VMC red line drop shot hook, put your good enough heavy weight down there on the bottom, start dragging that dude around for some smallmouth, and try to start putting them in the boat. But definitely a cool fishery, a very big fishery, and a fishery that's got a lot of fish in it. And I mean, just like this area right here, look at how much stuff I've got. The purple is 40 foot, is 30 to 40. The green is 20 to 30. So basically, in my opinion, just looking at it right now, anything that's in that purple and green is certainly, within fishing range, even as up to the yellow, the deeper range of that yellow. Man, all kinds of stuff. And this is just what's on the U.S. side. There's all kinds of stuff over here on the Canadian side that's not, like I said, not mapped really well. Man, just so much stuff. And you can pull up here, drop your trolling motor here and start drifting, because the current's flowing that way. Start drifting down this deal and kind of try to keep yourself around those edges, and you're liable to get bit up here, liable to get bit there. In those little cuts, there's just so much habitat. It's really incredible. I don't know if I've ever fished a place that has more habitat in it than what this does. Even you go out to Lake Ontario, so much of that is too deep. It's not got places for those fish to spawn. It's not got enough protected areas. Man, these fish can literally pull right in here. Just they could spawn right there and then slide right back out. They can spawn on the downstream side of these islands. Like, it is just an endless amount of habitat. You could, again, take something. Just what's covered in the screen right there is 2% of what we've got available to us, and I guarantee there's enough bass right there to win anything. That's what's cool about this place. So exciting to be into the year on such a fantastic fishery. We've been there a couple of different times. The first time I ever went to the St. Lawrence was about this week. I remember that because it was during mine and Jenny's anniversary. It's on August the 7th, and I'll be up here again on our anniversary. Part of the game as to what we play. We miss a lot of stuff. Traveling different times of the year, and that's just kind of the way it is. My kids' birthdays are always somewhere out of town, and usually I'm gone on our anniversary. So just part of the life of being a pro angler. But yeah, excellent place. There are largemouth to be caught there. Somebody could do well with largemouth, or you get a really bad weather day for smallmouth. Maybe you dip in and start fishing for some largemouth, but all in all, I don't think that will be the way to go when we're up here. So fun place. Probably my favorite place to go smallmouth fish would be the St. Lawrence River. It being a river, it having current, all those kind of things, it makes sense a little bit more to me than some of the other ones. So definitely excited to be in the year, St. Lawrence River.